Is this?
I
Is it working?
can kind of read your hat, TK. Do you want to do that again? Get a little closer, just in
Is it
case.
backwards? It's backwards on my screen.
No, it looks backwards to you, but it's normal to me. I don't know. Is mine backwards?
No, yours looks fine.
Yeah, see, because mine looks backwards to me. So there we go.
All right,
TK?
it's confirmed.
We
Welcome
are
to-
here. We are on time as promised for once, maybe twice, actually. So this is good. I don't know if there's people that want real estate discussions at 2 in the afternoon, but this is when we can do it. So we don't really care, do we, TK?
No, we got no choice. So here we are.
Here
What day is
we
today? It's
are.
Thursday.
It's
February
Thursday.
something. I think it's
It's the
2024.
tuner. 2024, Tuesday,
That's
the
reasonable.
8th. What's reasonable about that?
I don't know. At least it's not like 2020. That year was brutal.
We don't want to relive 2020.
So, we're talking about January numbers today.
Hey, there's people in the chat though. Hold on a sec. Can you hear us? Is our audio okay? Is there anybody there? It says that there's
yeah, I don't see anything in my
a
chat.
ton of people there.
Let's get cracking on those numbers.
Let's get cracking. What numbers?
I would like to first formally apologize for being wrong.
Right? And who was right? Who was right?
I don't know. Do you want to take credit for being right?
Yeah, remember I told you. I saw something on,
you saw it on
Twitter
Twitter.
that said prices were down.
So I was feeling the pressure because in the
Hello,
core
James.
we did see a lot of pressure on prices, but based on the actual numbers that came in, there was a decline from December. Now, if you look at year over year, it's pretty much the same, like January to January. So we're kind of at the beginning of January 2023, which is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, see, we always have these discussions about these year over year numbers. And although they are like a metric that people look at, there's really not much similar from one January to the next, other than maybe the weather and the name of the month. But if you look at like one January to the next, geopolitics are extraordinarily different. Politics internally in the country are completely different. And like the markets, every market is completely different than it was a year ago. So, like comparing it to a year ago, I suppose when it looks good is nice to make you feel kind of warm and fuzzy, but month over month wasn't the same story. And the only reason I like to focus on month over month. No, but month over month gives you like the trend. It gives you the direction the market's going in.
Sure, but I got a theory, okay? This is my
Another theory.
One, I checked the prices over 2 million sales in December versus January. There was more sales over $2 million in December than there were in January. So that bumps up the averages a little bit, right? Second, there's a bunch of people who sold in January for too little. And
because
the reason
they had to?
because they were on the market for so long and they were just taking a beating. And then finally someone came with an offer and they were like, I'll take anything at this point. And so a lot of those listings sold well below asking that I witnessed because they just didn't have the guidance. They were stressed. It's one of the most dangerous things I tell sellers when I'm meeting them who listed, let's say last year. Now they're coming back to the table. They want to change agents. They're interviewing me. They're saying, last year we had it up at this price and it didn't work. And, the market said it was too high. It doesn't mean that right now, going on the market this year, that same price isn't going to be obtainable. Sometimes maybe even more. Or it could be you were way off. But bottom line is you need to assess the situation and try to control their emotions and not let them use last year's results as being the only decision maker on this year's strategy, right? So that to me is another big factor. We got sales. We got 37% more sales. I always say this is a TK Butler original. First comes sales, then comes prices. Because I'm telling you, that is what happens. We will start to see more people buying houses, which keeps inventory low, and then eventually puts pressure on prices.
Eventually it puts pressure on prices. Yeah, but that's, you said something different last time, is that there's gonna all of a sudden be a glut of inventory come the summer.
Yeah, that's what's coming right now. We're going to be seeing that later this year when people start to renew. I've already seen an increase in listings just in the last week because the message is out. But it takes a while. People are slow to act. Whatever the right decision to do is, the masses will do the wrong decision. That is proven in the fact that when the market was hot in February 2022, nobody should have been buying, but everybody was. Everybody should have been selling, but nobody was. Right? And so right now, the people who should be getting their houses in the market are going to be slow to act. They're gonna say, oh, maybe I should wait a little bit more, or maybe it's not a good time. And by the time they all get their houses on the market in May and June, we'll see that buildup of inventory happen then. But right now, there's enough buyers to swallow up inventory that comes on in February, March, maybe even April. 37% increase. That's a big increase.
It's a big increase, and I can't imagine why the demand wouldn't keep up with the supply if the market was trending in the right direction. I mean, there's obviously
We
a
got
ton
monetary
of buyers.
policy issues. We when you go to the bank to
We'll see.
qualify at an 8% rate with the stress test, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it is
Who can qualify for
absolutely
that?
ridiculous.
And you
Yeah,
can only get so much money. So you're going to go to the bank and say, how much are you going to give me? And the bank's going to tell you, and you're going to say, well, I don't want a house that meets that price. I
yeah,
want I want a house this big.
yeah. Well,
And then the bank's going to be like, well, we're only going to give you a mortgage like this.
yeah.
Can you see it?
Sorry,
That one right
sorry.
there. That's how much
We're
mortgage we're
gonna
going to
give
give you.
you We're going to give you 75% LTV, but it's going to
Yeah,
be based on our
right
appraisal
there.
from the guy that works in our office. Hey,
Yeah.
we got Jawad Khan says, guys, is commercial property still worth getting into, especially close to Pearson Airport?
It's a pretty broad question.
Yeah,
Like when
I
like are commercial
suppose.
properties worth getting into? Commercial properties are based on usually an end user gonna, have a business. And so therefore it's is your business right now needing to own commercial property, then that would be a good time to buy it. Or
That
you're
would be a
looking
good
at
time.
numbers. And so again, is that particular property you're buying going to carry itself? There's a
Well,
lot
then
of
this is
commercial
the
properties
issue.
right now at
No,
like
everybody's
low
prices
cap
are
rates that I would not
nuts right
touch.
now. But
Yeah,
okay, so the answer is
yeah.
if you can find a deal that works and makes money
At
and
7 to
makes all your
8% commercial rates.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, good luck near the Toronto airport finding a deal like that. But if somehow you figure out a way to do that, then absolutely, if you can finance it, jump on it. Why the hell
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
If it
Where
makes
you're
sense in this environment, imagine when rates are lower
yeah.
and things are stronger. Although has the the demand for commercial space waned at all? Like
I said this the
it's
other day.
probably,
The only investors I'm seeing right now are highly skilled investors buying.
yeah,
And the reason is because they have a strategy on what they're going to do with the property in order to make it work and make the deal make sense. The
yeah.
retail investors who just go in there and buy and pay whatever price they need to and just hang on to it and try not to do anything other than collect rent if they can, those guys aren't in the market right now. They were in the market, they all got burned, and now they've learned their lesson. But the skilled guys are out there. So the answer is absolutely uh, buy a commercial property that's worth buying near the airport. But Darryl is absolutely right. Unless it's a good deal where the numbers make sense, you should never buy a commercial property if the numbers don't make sense,
No,
right? So
especially
like, the
commercial, like
timing really is irrelevant.
it is absolutely irrelevant. I'd say actually now, if you could make it work, would be the best time to do it because it can't. I mean, I suppose it could get worse if rates do go up even more, which I think is still actually on the table, to be honest with you. I think that the market's just gonna rip like crazy and they're gonna have no choice but to raise rates. So, I mean, you could get caught. So if you are looking at a commercial deal, I mean, pad the interest rate in your pro forma a little bit so that you don't lose everything that you were hoping to have because interest rates go up 1.5 or 2 points, or God forbid, it's like it was in the 80s where it goes up another 16 points.
Yeah. So he just said long term paid for my other two businesses. Yeah. So now you've got utility. You're not paying another landlord's mortgage. You're in a location that you're going to have, which is maybe stable. Rents have gone up really high. But I'll also caution you, and I'll tell you a personal story with my family. We bought a building in 20. Let me go back here. 1999, and we had 24,000 square feet, and the landlord said, we're going to raise the rent this year $1 per square foot, right? And so my family freaked out and said, that's $24,000 a year. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. We're already paying a lot of rent. And they decided to go and buy a building. Now, to buy that building, they had to put a down payment down, and there was costs, and then we had to shut business down, and we had to move machinery, and it was all that kind of stuff. By the time it was done, it was like $1 million out the door just to move in to that
Should
next
have
one.
just
The markets
signed that
changed not too
lease.
much longer after that. We lost the building and the business, and it would have been way
Oh,
better to stay in that leased premises
sign the lease.
with the extra $1 a month rent. So always look at your situation. There is no. I got another family member who did the same thing way back when, and he flipped his building for $7.5 million 2 years ago because he ran his business in a property that he bought a long time ago that grew in value, and that he paid down his own mortgage, and that instead of renting a place he owned, and when he came time to retire, he cashed out and made him a millionaire, right? So again, his business lasted that long, even though COVID killed it, so he's kind of forced into retirement. But what's your business? Is it going to be sustainable long term? Can you make those payments? If so, commercial real estate's a great investment.
Yeah, and if you can buy commercial real estate that has some, development potential, that is like the ultimate, because generally, well, I suppose it depends on the owner, but more often than not, it's sold based on the income it produces, right? So if you can buy it well based on the income it produces, and you can find a way to add value by adding, square footage to the property, um, or maybe changing the use and renting it to a more expensive per month or per square foot use. You know what I mean? This seems like, at least from my perspective, the smartest way about going about commercial investing, right? So like if you were going to go buy something, buy something, first of all, that isn't just one big gigantic unit, because if you don't have a tenant, you're pretty much fucked for as long as you don't have that tenant, right?
Yeah.
TK?
Let's
It's
try to
not a
answer
great
some of these
situation.
questions. I totally agree with Darryl because I got a 230.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, so inflationary
There's
metrics,
some
both
sort of.
domestic, certainly any drop potential is waning. Yeah, I would say the markets are going to tell us that the rates aren't going to be coming down as much as they thought. Let's say a month ago. That makes sense there, Bob. Bruno, single family prices if rates stay high until the fall. I think prices are going up right now, and that there's not going to be much to argue about that over the next couple months. We didn't see that on the TREB report, but definitely we're seeing it anecdotally
Well,
and
but so that's kind of
in
weird though, because
in some markets.
when I look at the stats, TK, and
But
I see that like like single detached in Toronto went up 5.7% year
year over
over
year,
year,
yeah,
right? And actually, I don't understand how the average went down 1% when we look at the breakdowns. The numbers don't really make much sense to me here, because the majority of the sales, funny enough, were single detached in the 416, which is pretty crazy.
yeah.
Um, and they went up. So a smaller
Well, you have to
category.
just when you start doing segments, when you're working with numbers and you start doing segments, you'll see.
But the proportions even still, they don't
Yeah,
make sense.
you'll see much more exact numbers because you're breaking down each segment. But then when you put them all together, then you get an evening out of the numbers. The bottom line with statistics is there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. So don't believe them all. Work with it. Bruno, just trying to answer your question here.
So he's
Yeah, I
asking,
think if rates continue to stay where they are, we're going to see a lot of people listing again in the late spring, too late, into the summer, and we're going to have a market like we did last year. We have a spring market, and then prices are going to come back down again when everyone goes, all right, I bought already, I don't need it anymore. And only the real, like, you know, serious sellers will get sold because they'll be willing to take a price that you know, they need to take in order to get it done. And the buyers who will be out there will all have been exhausted as far as like, I need to buy today because I'm, you know, whatever, first time buyer, move up buyer, new job, all that kind of stuff. And the buyers who will all be left will be like, if I get a good deal, I'll get it. Yeah, if I get it for the right price, I'll move. Well, if we can find
got
something,
any deals?
yeah,
Got any
you know,
deal? I'm looking
then
for a steal right now.
then you'll start to see some more. But anyways, last question. Pressures on single family are lower, but more so because of insufficient income, GDI gross. Yeah.
I think it's a
Well,
statement, not a question.
yeah.
I think Bob is
Bob, we
schooling us
appreciate your
all.
comments,
Thank you.
and I hope you're subscribed to both channels. Guys, I got to run.
Pressures. TK is pressure on time. Let's go TK, says
Let's go, TK. I like Steven.
C7 in.
Yeah.
Oh, I have
We'll catch you guys on the weekend for a regular show, and we'll make sure that
adios.
everybody's on track and updated throughout the week. Thanks, Darryl.
Let's go TK.
Let's go.
TK.